Oh my God. Do we finally have a commissioner of professional sports that's grown a set of balls? Do we finally have a commissioner who is not afraid to stand up to the virgins? And I'm looking at you, Bill Plaschke, when I say that, captain of the V Club. This World Series matchup is Bill Plaschke's worst nightmare. Not only did his beloved Dodgers not make it, but the Major League Baseball team that offends him the most is front and center on the national stage. Bill Plaschke gets triggered when he sees the Atlanta Braves. That damn tomahawk chop. It's just so offensive to Bill Plaschke, which confuses the hell out of me. I don't like to make assumptions based on appearance. I haven't run a familial background check, but I'm pretty sure Bill Plaschke is not Native American. One of the favorite methods of SJWs, they like to adopt slurs and phrases that are offensive to a certain segment of the population, and they like to pretend to be offended by it themselves. First of all, there is nothing offensive about the tomahawk chop. There's nothing offensive about a team being named the Braves or the Indians. It pissed me off that the Indians folded to the pressure and renamed themselves the Cleveland Guardians. What the hell kind of sense does that make? And that name is far more offensive. Parental guardians nationwide should be offended that a Major League Baseball team adopted their name. You know what else offends me? The voice of Bill Plaschke. Since we're living in cancel culture, why don't we cancel his ass as well? Like we talked about earlier this morning, we are beginning to see more and more people speak out against the easily offended. How long have we been covering social justice in sports on this channel? A year? Maybe even longer than that? For the majority of that time, there hasn't been anyone else talking about it like we do here on the channel. Besides the usual suspects, of course, Tucker Carlson, Brandon Tatum. I'm sure there are a lot of others that I'm leaving out. But when I say that, I'm talking about pop culture figures speaking out, athletes, commissioners. We have seen CEOs and sports commissioners, powerful figures, get on their proverbial knees and bow to the agenda. Adam Silver has been at the forefront of surrendering his manhood. Roger Goodell's not innocent. Last year, he apologized to Colin Kaepernick. For what? What the hell did Roger Goodell do to Colin Kaepernick? The NFL is a business. Colin Kaepernick was bad for business, not to mention the fact that he was a mediocre quarterback in a quarterback driven league. Rob Manfred, he has folded to political pressure in the past. Earlier this year, he made the decision to move the All-Star game out of Atlanta over a damn voting rights bill. I believe that Rob Manfred learned a tough lesson that day back in April. You don't comply with the demands of social justice warriors because their agenda never makes sense. The voting rights bill in Georgia was supposedly racist. It denies African Americans the right to vote. You cannot expect them to know how to obtain a driver's license. Um, like I said at the time, that notion is extremely offensive to black people. To hell with the fake racism the woke like to talk about, the very idea that African Americans are too dumb, too poor, too incapable of finding a DMV and getting a driver's license is the definition of racism. You are singling out a segment of the population based on their ethnicity. They do the same thing with Hispanics. Somehow, people from Guatemala, they're smart enough to make their way to America. They're smart enough to travel thousands of miles. They're smart enough to make a home here. But you're telling me they aren't intelligent enough to buy a driver's license? Rob Manfred moved the All-Star game from Atlanta, a predominantly black city, to Denver, Colorado, a state with stricter voting laws than Georgia. Denver, a city made up of predominantly white people. Now tell me how that benefited African Americans. It didn't. The mentality of social justice warriors, it never makes sense because the entire premise is based on a lie. When your premise is based on a lie, you have to cover it up. The only way to cover it up, create an enemy, racism. Rob Manfred was interviewed by a pool of reporters before game one of the World Series last night. I have a couple of clips that I'm going to share with you. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't make me edit them out. This should not be copyrighted material. We should be good, but who the hell knows? But at one point during the interview, some dumbass reporter asked Rob Manfred about the offensive tomahawk chop that's associated with the Braves. You can actually see the reporter in the shot. Looks to me like he hasn't touched a woman in 30 years. If I had to guess, probably the lover of Bill Plaschke. I'll be honest with you though. Rob Manfred's response surprised me in a good way. In a good way. It was refreshing to see a powerful figure in sports, the most powerful man in Major League Baseball, give an honest answer to a dishonest question. Roll the film.
Is the tomahawk chant at this day and age concerning for the image of baseball? Look, I think that it's important to understand that we have 30 markets around the country. They're not all the same. The Braves have done a phenomenal job with the Native American community. The Native American community in that region is wholly supportive of the Braves program, including the chop. And, for me, that's kind of the end of the story.
This would not have happened last year. Rob Manfred in front of a pool of woke media reporters coming to the defense of the Atlanta Braves wouldn't have happened. And look, I don't know his motivation here. He could be doing this to make up for moving the All-Star game out of Atlanta. He has not been a popular figure in Atlanta since making that decision, but I don't give a shit about his motivation. The only thing that matters is he had the balls to defend the Braves. He had the balls to stand up to the bullshit. Native Americans in Atlanta are not offended by the tomahawk chop. Why should anyone else be? At one point, one of the reporters asked Rob Manfred if he was concerned about Native Americans outside of Atlanta being offended. No one cares. You can't make decisions based on the risk that you're going to offend someone. Someone is always going to get offended. I offend people every day here on this channel. Social justice warriors, they can't stand this channel. It gets them emotional, makes them cry, which is the point. Nothing pleases me more than a crying SJW. One of them the other day called me an asshole, which is true. It's true. I am an asshole. The truth is ugly, though. If the truth were a pretty thing, then no one would have to lie, wouldn't have a reason to lie. People lie because oftentimes the truth hurts. And we know SJWs can't deal with the pain. This next clip was uploaded to Twitter by Jose de Jesus Ortiz. Now you're probably wondering, who in the hell is that? He's a blue check mark on Twitter, avid social justice warrior. I'm not going to continue to denigrate the name of Jesus by calling this dude Jesus, so we'll just go with Jose Ortiz instead. In this clip, Rob Manfred expounds on the concern of the Braves offending Native Americans outside of Atlanta. Roll it.
The way the community perceives the gesture, and I think in Atlanta, as I said before, they've done a great job with the Native Americans. I think the Native American community is the most important group to decide whether it's appropriate or not, and they have been unwaveringly supportive of the Braves.
Commissioner, but you're a major league that represents the whole country. Can one group of Native Americans give permission for Atlanta to insult all the Native Americans?
Yeah, we don't market our game on a nationwide basis. Ours is an everyday game. You got to sell tickets every single day to the fans in that market, and there are all sorts of differences among the clubs, among the regions as to how the game's marketed.
But do you feel comfortable that one group you say that the Native Americans in Atlanta and their area are comfortable? Do you feel that the Native Americans around the country feel the same way?
I don't know how every Native American group around the country feels. I am 100% certain that the Braves understand what the Native American community in their region believes, and that they've acted in accordance with that understanding.
That is 100% fact. How many times have we said this same thing? Major League Baseball, it's not a national game. I know baseball purists, they love calling it the national pastime, but that's just not true. Baseball is a regional sport. The Atlanta Braves have 81 home games every year. They can't be worried about the feelings of Bill Plaschke in Los Angeles. They can't be worried about offending a Native American living in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They have to worry about selling tickets in Atlanta every day. Put yourselves in the Braves' position. The tomahawk chop has been a fan favorite for decades. You have two choices. You can allow the woke to dictate what you can and can't do, and we know that standard is always changing. You ban the tomahawk chop, piss off your fan base, or you keep it, say to hell with the emotional beta males, and piss them off instead. The choice is simple. Why in the hell would you upset the people that pay you? When you're a business, you don't upset the consumer. Now, of course, social justice warriors, they don't understand business. Many of them have never held an actual job. SJWs don't know how to create anything. All they can do is destroy it. Taking business advice from the woke is always the wrong decision. Just ask ESPN. But credit to Rob Manfred, and I hope Adam Silver saw this. I hope he did. Adam Silver, this is how you handle the media. You don't hide under your desk. You don't tell them what they want to hear. You shove their demented mentality right back in their face. Now, time to let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on Rob Manfred defending the Atlanta Braves. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.